Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
I'm Pauline Mosley. Welcome.
And today we have a really interesting program, and it's a program helping to save our planet. And
Yes.
with us today we have a student, Hajeong Lee, and she's involved in an organization, Kids Upcycling. And maybe you could just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, what school you go to, and about the initiative you're taking.
Yeah, so I'm Hajeong. I go to Hastings High School, and I'm a 10th grader. And I started with my friend Ella Kajigo, Kids Upcycling Club, which is a nonprofit that takes recycled bottle caps and 3D print filament and turns it into products such as jewelry or keychains and magnets.
Wow, and what gave you the idea?
Yeah, so we first started up as an upcycling group for kids, and when someone introduced the Bloomberg grant, which is the UYCF Bloomberg grant, to us, we decided to expand our project into melting plastic.
Have you gotten grants?
We got the Bloomberg one, and
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That is.
And how much was the grant for?
$2,275.
That is
That's fantastic.
that is really
Yeah.
impressive. And
Very impressive.
I should say I'm impressed because I had applied for a Bloomberg grant, and I'm still waiting to hear from them. So I'm a little jealous. It's sort of interesting because Hastings has always been an activist community. In fact, my first campaign manager, Phil Weiser, worked in my campaign when he was living in Hastings. Then decided to go to law school. Then he moved to Colorado. He became a clerk for Justice Ginsburg of the U.S. Supreme Court and Byron White. And then he became dean of a law school in Colorado. Now is Attorney General and is running for governor of Colorado and has a decent chance.
Moving fast.
So, do you have any political aspirations?
Not at the moment, but definitely thinking.
Yeah, maybe. You see, that's smart because the thing you learn in politics is if you say you're not sure, then you could catch everybody by surprise.
Yeah.
The question I have is, the Kids Upcycling Club, how many students do you have who are involved in that?
Oh, so right now leading it is just me and my friend Ella, but we have a volunteer sign up, which we have many volunteers come for different dates to help us run the markets or with our art group with kids. And I'd say we have like maybe 3 or 4 regulars that come.
And is it only for Hastings students or is it open to students anywhere?
It's definitely open to students everywhere. I think like the more people we have involved in this project, the more opportunities we'll be able to have to grow it.
Do you feel that a lot of people just are not taking our climate, global warming seriously enough?
Oh, definitely. I'm like, people are always watching documentaries or seeing things or reading books, or even if they're not, that are saying you have to recycle now, like now's the time to make a change, and then they're like, oh, I agree, and then they just throw that bottle cap away, or they throw that plastic bottle away, or just, and then don't think about it ever again.
Yeah, one of the questions, I have is I was watching on like ABC TV and NBC. They say a lot of the plastics that you think are being recycled really never get recycled. How would you respond to people who may say, why should government be recycling all this plastic and then it just gets dumped? Is that something that you've paid attention to at all?
I definitely think there's a lot of sort of loopholes in the recycling process. For example, a lot of people don't actually know how to properly recycle. Like there'll be the green bin and then the blue bin, and people will just like throw into landfill or just throw into the wrong section. Like recycling improperly is just as bad as not recycling, because when you put an object into a bin that's not supposed to be there, it actually makes it so all the objects in that bin won't be able to be recycled because they're contaminated. So another way is that a lot of times small plastic bits, just like bottle caps, will get caught when they're trying to recycle, and they just make all these issues. So it ends up that around like 91% of plastics that are produced are actually just not recycled ever.
When you basically create jewelry, is it do you sell the jewelry, and is it expensive? How do you market your business?
Yeah, so all of our products at the moment are $10 per product. And we like to keep it cheap so that people can afford it. And the more people who can get sustainable jewelry, the better. And all of our profits are donated to the ocean cleanup, which is cleaning our rivers and oceans across the world.
That's amazing, really.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's absolutely incredible. So can you share with our viewing audience like how much time it takes to make one, and when is your next event? So those of us that wish to look at this and support you, when is your next upcoming event?
So our next event will be March 1st at the Rivertown Thrift. It's at the Hastings Community Center, and they sell old clothes that for really cheap. Like you'll have a $300 pair of jeans that you can get for $3. It's really great. And I'd say for how long it takes to make our products, our process after we collect and wash all plastics, depending on the plastic, depending whether it's HDPE, which is high density polyethylene, bottle caps, recycling bins, or LDPE, which is found in plastic bags and it's low density, they melt at different times. And so I'd say it takes like 15 to 20 minutes per piece because we do them in batches of melted tiles.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Very interesting.
Did you get help from some of the teachers in the school, or did you sort of invent the whole process yourself?
It was definitely a process. So Megan did, she's the coordinator of Rivertown Thrift. She provided us with the idea and a little bit of some tutorials and videos on how to do it. And so that got me and Ella very inspired. But when we started actually trying to recycle the plastic ourselves, we realized we need to do a lot more research. So we kind of went into an internet deep dive. We found all these amazing communities such as Precious Plastic based in Europe. They also do similar recycling methods. And we spent about, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks in the summer prototyping and seeing what works and what doesn't. There were some days when we thought like, we are never going to be able to make jewelry. This is way too hard. I just made like a lump of something. But then we figured out what works, and it's working amazingly.
That is, that is really, great. There's a school, some of your teachers must be really very impressed with you.
Yeah, definitely. We've received a lot of support, and it's really nice.
So what best practices would you give to kids your age that might want to be an entrepreneur or have an idea or want to recycle or repurpose something? What are some tips or advice you could give after reaching your level of success?
Actually, through the Greenlight program, we're giving presentations that are exactly on this topic.
Really?
Yeah, we're calling them sustainable business lesson presentations. And we're going to different schools and organizations and showing teens how they can make their own sustainable businesses. Because we thought making Kids Upcycling Club power was so, I wouldn't say easy, but definitely achievable. Like we never thought we'd be able to do this, and I'd want to tell others how to do that. We're going to be going to Irvington School tomorrow, actually, to present, which we're really excited for. But I'd say one of the most important things to do if you have an idea and you want to get started is to find a mentor and find help or a program, because that will give you guidelines and in a way can also like bring you to reality to how it will actually work and force you to consider boundaries and preparational steps you'll have to take.
So do you have an Instagram, or how can people reach you? Do you have an email or a number? Can you share that with our viewing audience? So
Yeah, definitely.
anyone that would like to have you and Ella come and speak or give a presentation,
Yeah, so we have an Instagram handle. It's Kids Upcycling Club, no spaces, all lower caps. And we also, our email is kidsupcyclingclub@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out whenever you can. We're always happy to talk to people interested.
Do you get a lot of media attention? Has like News 12 or local newspapers covered what you're doing?
I think we've been mentioned in local newspaper twice during different markets. Reporters have come and talked to us. And then as of news, this is definitely like the first kind of online TV audience we're going to be participating in.
That is great. So hopefully
That's awesome.
In 10 years, this will be a minor TV appearance and you'll have a lot national coverage. Are there, so you're trying to also motivate students from not only Hastings, but all over to recycle and think of ways of saving the planet.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the goals of this whole initiative is you're sort of like leading by example, by recycling, creating jewelry. And are there other things that people could do if they want to save the planet?
Yeah, I'd say always being conscious of your carbon footprint and what you're doing in your day-to-day life that is impacting the environment. If you want to support our project directly, you can also, by looking on our Instagram or emailing us, you can sign, if you have a kid, you can sign them up for our upcycling art group. We teach them how to upcycle in your home and do fun crafts and why it's important. So I have everybody like raise their hand. Why is the upcycling craft going well? And it's so fun. You could also email us if you want to drop off cleaned and washed bottle caps and we'll recycle them.
The other question that I had is Bedford is sort of they've had a really active environmental initiative. They have a Bedford 2030, I think it's called the Green Light Award program.
Yeah.
Have you been involved with them at all?
We have. We applied for the program, I think, around January or February. And it pretty much is a program that takes kids who have ideas to make a sustainable or environmental change, and they help them execute their projects up until April. And in April, based on how well they executed their projects, they choose like around 13 finalists, and then you can win an award and a $500 award in recognition.
That's great.
Yeah.
The other question that I have is in terms of nationally, President Trump doesn't support all these recycling, initiatives, and a lot of members of Congress feel that the planet is not falling apart. So do you sort of get discouraged because what you're doing is like a drop in the bucket when at the national level they basically seem to be giving up on a lot of these recycling initiatives?
Yeah, definitely.
Sustainability initiatives.
Yeah. We do get the question a lot when we're at markets. People say, like, what is the point of recycling if you yourself are only making like a small dent in your own community? And I think that no matter what, like as long as people keep paying attention and learning, even if the impact world, like on a grand scale, isn't that much, if everybody has the mindset of what I'm doing is not impactful, then nothing will ever change. And I think it's really important to keep our future moving in the right direction towards sustainability.
Do you find that a lot of students, from your experiences in Hastings, are they very supportive of these kind of initiatives, or are there a lot of students who basically are taking the
easy way
approach,
out,
saying, we don't have to recycle?
I'd say, like you said before, Hastings is very active in climate action, either other nonprofits around the world and making the world a better place. I'm not exactly sure how many students actually think about recycling, but I'd say that we're definitely like active and we want to learn and grow. We have a program called Hastings Kids, which stands for Kids Involved in Doing Service. and we provide other high schoolers with volunteer opportunities in a bunch of different like subjects in the world, such as the Midnight Run, which provides food to homeless.
I've heard of that.
So I think we're definitely very active.
That's awesome.
In terms of the growth of your organization, what do you anticipate for the future?
We definitely have some dreams about growing Kids Upcycling Club like really big. As of now, more short-term goals, I suppose. We want to be able to create like a website to house all of our different information that's a little more reliable than just giving it Instagram, because I know that a lot of people don't have it. It would also help us stay organized, and we'd also love to kind of expand outside of Hastings and go to the other areas in Westchester, which is part of why we're doing our presentations, because we want to be able to impact and talk to as many different types of people as possible.
So when did you start this? How long have you started this business? Like when did you, because you're in 10th grade, so I'm just saying, did you start this in 10th grade, or did you have this vision and passion like in 9th grade? Like when did this start?
Yeah, so we started Kids Upcycling Club. It originally started as the art group where we made crafts with kids from upcycled materials. We started that freshman year when we were joining Hastings Kids, because we thought that we really wanted to make a new project that would appeal to high schoolers more interested in art and hands-on activities. And so we were doing that for a whole year until other high schoolers, a senior, I think, he introduced us to the Bloomberg grant, as well as Lori, who runs Hastings Kids. And then that inspired us to expand Kids Upcycling Power. So I'd say the business itself has been going for a year or so.
And when you applied for the Bloomberg grant, and you've, I guess, been in contact with the Bloomberg people, could you tell us a little bit about that process? Because to get a Bloomberg grant, you have to really be as close to brilliant as possible. It's very, very prestigious. Very, very difficult to get. So how did you go about getting the grant?
So this particular grant was called the Youth Climate Action Fund, and a amount of money was allotted to different villages around New York so that they wanted to get our youth active in the environment. And Lori, and the senior, he introduced us to the grant, and so it was actually a pretty simple process for us, because I think they want to make it as easy as possible for youth to participate. So what we did is we made a PowerPoint slideshow about what our ideas were, and we filled out a long form about what it would be, what this entails for us, and there were also a couple interest meetings. And then I think after a couple weeks we heard back from them, and they were like, "You got the money."
That's
We were super
amazing.
excited.
That's incredible.
And do you stay in touch with them?
Oh, definitely. There was like this Bloomberg kind of celebratory party at the end of the Bloomberg grant process, where a bunch of kids who ran different projects met up, and we kind of got to talk about each other's projects and the Bloomberg grant and how we used it. That was really fun. We got to see a bunch of amazing entrepreneurial kids.
And whether they all were environmental based?
Yes, they were all environmental based.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What were some of the other initiatives where people got grants?
I know some people were dealing with the invasive lanternflies in the area and creating traps for them. I also know my neighbors, two of my neighbors actually, they worked on restoring Zinzer Park. So they made a new garden for pollinators and renovated the old fences and stuff.
Wow, it's really
Very impressive.
It's beyond impressive. In terms of the environmental benefits of recycling plastic, why is it so important if for somebody who basically is listening and they're not sure?
Yeah, so definitely there's 3 points I'd want to touch on. It reduces carbon emissions. So whenever plastic and waste goes to a landfill, it gets burned, and that just elevates and increases the greenhouse effect, which makes global warming happen more frequently. And also, it conserves our resources. So right now, we are putting and producing way more than we need to if we properly reused our materials. And so by upcycling, you can, on a small scale for yourself, and if we all do it on a big scale, like reuse resources and make more of a circular economy rather than one that just leads to landfill no matter what. And also, I'd say upcycling advocates for a renewable future. So when you're upcycling, people say, oh, like, why do you do this? And then you get to tell them what all the benefits and how it helps the environment.
So it's upcycling. Until I met you, I never heard of the word upcycling. I heard of the word recycling.
Yeah.
Have you heard of upcycling?
No.
So is that a word that you created, or is that a word that anyone in the environmental field should be aware of?
Yeah, it's definitely not a term we created. I think the formal definition is recycling is when you have your typical like material, product, and then you go back to the industries and they try to turn it into another material and product. And I think every single time, because of the loopholes we talked about in recycling, every single time a larger percent of that plastic or waste goes to landfill. And so it's like kind of like let's say like a sieve where you can recycle, but sand's just like falling out no matter what. Upcycling is where you're kind of like taking it out of the system. Like you get your material and then you recycle it into something that you'll keep in your home or that people will keep in their homes, and then it is no longer just in that like sieve sand.
I see. So what are the other types of jewelry that you do? I know I saw you had earrings, but you do bracelets, or what are some of the other forms of jewelry that you do?
Yeah, so we do necklaces and we do earrings. We are also experimenting with other types like bracelets. I know we did barrettes. And we also, so every single time we melt the plastic into a thin sheet, and then we use cookie cutters to stamp out the shapes. And my job, because we split up different jobs between me and Ella, is that I carve the shapes to make them more refined and neat. And when we have these like carvings left over, I put them into a resin ring mold, and we make these clear rings with little bits of plastic in, and we also make those.
And what about the magnets? I know before you were mentioning about the magnets.
Oh yeah, so yeah. We're also making magnets, which we are collaborating with Makers Hive and Dobbs. We are designing 3D print stamps that we can then stamp designs into the plastic and cut them out. And so I designed one, which is a circle that says no waste inside. So I'm thinking we can make a magnet saying no waste, and people could put it on their fridge.
That is really
Very
great. If people want to, do you have like a catalog, or how could people find out?
The Instagram.
Besides Instagram.
So besides Instagram, we have all of our products on Instagram. We were designing business cards, and then I haven't thought of a catalog yet, but I would definitely do that so people can see what we're selling and our options.
Yeah, that would be fabulous. Yeah. And so, what are you thinking of recycling products that young men can do? Like if young men or young adult men would like to join this group, what are some things that they could do? They could make like shapes or a skateboard, or what are some things they could do?
We were actually brainstorming ideas on how to include maybe like young boys or men in the product or customer group target. So it's a little tough because we got these leather cords to make like necklaces that maybe they'd enjoy. But in terms of other things such as skateboards, you'd need like different, more industrial machines. Like right now, we're melting them in panini presses, and we researched this during the beginning phase of the project. you need these things called either intruders or extruders, and those cost thousands of dollars that we do not have right now, and
So-
you put them in the molds.
So where do you manufacture the jewelry?
It's interesting.
So our leader of Hastings Kids, our mentor Lori Walsh, was kind enough to actually lend us her shed. So we kind of turned it into an impromptu space. We, with the Bloomberg grant, we were allowed to get sorting bins and shelves and carts with different bottle caps sorted and washed in them.
And how long does it take you to
Amazing.
create an individual piece of jewelry?
She told us
I'd say
15 minutes.
15, 20
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Give or take, depending on, it actually depends on the weather too, if it's colder or warmer, maybe humid or not.
And when do you find time to do this with school? Because this is like, sounds like a full-time job, like a business, and yet you're in school. 10th grade's a lot of work, regents and things. So when do you find time to do this?
Mark Zuckerberg did the same thing.
There you go.
Being
Yes.
compared to Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, but yeah, we definitely had more time during the summer because we could meet every afternoon and be like, let's get work done. As of now, we meet every Sunday because, like you said, with school and other activities, that's like as frequent as we can. But I think every Sunday in the afternoon, either working on our presentations or the products, we're able to get enough out of it.
That is really amazing. So
Thank
I
you.
just want to thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us. You really are an inspiration, and I think it makes you feel good about the future, because if we had more people like you, the future for the world will be really much brighter.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Lee. You're a real pioneer as a woman and just a person in general. You're such a visionary and a pioneer, being able to intersect art, using art to solve a problem of recycling. And so we thank you for your innovativeness in helping our community.
That is great. Thanks so much, and I'll look forward to it.